welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we are once again playing a game of 20 questions so that you can get to know me a little bit better. Today's topic is on beliefs and interests. Yeah, let's dive into it. So the first question is, how comfortable are you sharing what you believe in? And let's have a little look here, because I do plan out my uploads ahead of time. So looking spiritually and politically, out of, I think it's a grand total of 33, I think it's currently 33 different sort of subjects, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's 9 there. 10, 11, 12, yeah, okay, 13, 14, 15. About half of the videos I post are about either a political or social issue or my own spiritual beliefs, so quite comfortable. What is my political position is question number 2. I lean to the left. I know that on your screen I might have just gestured to the right, but this is my left hand. So I lean to the left. I do believe in equality and egalitarianism, and I do think that we should look to the future and try to create a better future, but I don't lean so far to the left that I completely ignore the past, which is something that the more traditional right-leaning political parties tend to do. They tend to try and be like, this is what it was like in the past, see how good the past was, let's stay there. The past was horrible, and technology will continue to evolve whether or not you want to move on from this or not. So yes, look, learn so that we don't make the same mistakes, but embrace the future, look forward to the future, and try to create as equal a society as is humanly possible. Question number 3, how has my political position changed over my lifetime? It sort of started, and that's it. That's how it's changed. There's a lot of questions here that ask about change. I'm going to just, here on out, change those words to evolved. So how has my political position evolved over my lifetime? It sort of started when I was 18 and first had to put my name into the Australian Electoral Commission. I didn't really care, to be completely honest. I was like, yep, I don't care, because in my day-to-day life, what politicians do doesn't affect me, was my thought process, so I didn't care. I now know that was dum-dums, and that it does indeed affect me in the day-to-day, as well as the fact of wanting to try and get some legislation for the arts industry. That's a big one. So it sort of started. If I could change something about my country, what would it be? I don't know. It's an interesting one. If I could change something about my country, what would it be? I mean, if I lived in America, if I was born in America, it'd easily be, you know, gun control. If it was that I lived in a European country, I know a fair few of those have, and especially during COVID, they would have had low sort of economic turnovers. And I have had this debate with someone in Italy when I was doing in my exchange there in 2013. But as unfortunate as it is, I do think that a part of more westernized countries, that is to say more Americanized countries, I do think a big part of how they're able to keep their economies afloat is tied into fast food, unfortunately, which also therefore contributes to obesity levels. And they had said something that I agree with. I would much rather live in a poorer country than one that has to deal with an obesity epidemic. So maybe that's what I'd like to change. Normalize cooking at home. What's a fundamental principle I believe everyone should adhere to? The we can read is, I think, something that everyone should adhere to. As long as it's not harming other people, you should do what you want. By the same token, as long as what other people are doing isn't harming you, you should let them do what they want, and not get offended on behalf of somebody. That's the stupidest thing ever, especially if the person that should have been offended actually finds humour in the thing. It just makes you look like even more of an idiot. Number 6, what makes me most angry? People being, and I'm well aware that I'm probably guilty of this myself, because generally people dislike in other people the thing that they themselves are the most guilty of. So I'm well aware of that fact. But people who are hypocritical and people who stick their nose into other people's business when they are not wanted there. On that second one, I do know that I try to limit that at least myself to like my friends and stuff. And when I am, I sort of ask, hey, are you okay? Is there anything I can do? And if they say no at that point, it's like, okay, well, in that case, it doesn't concern me. I will leave you to it, but I'm here if you need me. And that's as far as I try to go with that. Whether you consider that putting my nose into their business or not is up to you. I think I do it in such a way where it's like, I'm not trying to be a sticky bee, but like, I can kind of tell you're struggling. As for the hypocrite part, I don't think I would even know. I think that's part of being a hypocrite, is you don't really realize it. But it grinds my gears. What do I wish I saw more of in society? I wish I saw more good news at 6 o'clock on TV. I wish there was less glorifying, for lack of a better word, the darker parts of humanity, like murder and theft and just crime in general. Because whenever you turn on the 6 o'clock news, it is inevitably just a report of, here's all the crime that was committed today. And I think that's part of the problem. It shouldn't be that way, I don't think. But it is, and so we just have to sort of, unfortunately, deal with that fact. But yeah, I don't think that's how we should operate as a society, personally. So yeah, I would like to see more acknowledgements of the good deeds that people do. Yeah. How often do I question my viewpoints? I try to at least once a day. Spend a little bit of time going, okay, so, and especially if there's like a big controversy that's like in line with some of the things that I care about, it's like, okay, well, as more details unfold, do a bit more research. Should I still agree with my position yesterday? I've got the hiccups. But yeah, no, do I still agree with the position that I had yesterday? If so, cool. If not, where do I stand now? How is it different? Trying to acknowledge all of those things so I can sort of keep a track of how I'm growing as a person, because I never want to stop growing as a person. I think that's really important, that we don't ever like deliberately stop ourselves from growing as people. Yeah. What in my life has inspired my beliefs the most? Question number 9. I had to double check I was on the right line there for a second. What in my life has inspired my beliefs the most? Spiritually, the things that have influenced that the most, or inspired that the most. I think I'm going to use influenced the most. Is a little bit of religious trauma and a little bit of just trying to be morally the best person I can be, because I think morals really is the bridge between religion and politics. It's a bridge that should be kept deliberately as a bridge so as not to confuse the two, but like as a political leader you should be trying to work the most moral way, and as a religious person you should be trying to work in the most moral way, but you should never let politics rule religion or vice versa. It should deliberately be left as a bridge between two separate ideas. But yeah, as a kid, I think I've told this story before, but my nan was quite sick, and I would usually help her with little treatments she had to give herself at home with like her medication and stuff, and so that's sort of, because I was never really interested in a medical career, I don't think. I don't think there was ever really a point in my life where I was like, oh, I want to go into medicine. But helping her has left me with this like, I want to help people idea. And I think that that's, for me, just sort of become I want to help people through how I carry myself and how I act, and I always want to act in the truest nature to what I believe in. I don't really ever want to act out of emotion, especially if that's emotion of like anger or greed or any of those like negative emotions. And how have my beliefs evolved over time? Again, it's a little bit of the things that have influenced it as I've grown up over time, and then the different things where each day I sort of double check, like, do I still believe in this? Is this still the best way forward? How can I change? How can I grow? How can I adapt to be the best version of myself today? How can I better myself from yesterday? So yeah, it's been a long journey, but that's basically it. Question 11 then shifts gears into more of the interests side of things. And question 12 is kind of similar to it as well, so I'm going to answer them all at once. What do I do for fun and what are my hobbies? Indoors. Reading, writing, video games and board games, so gaming. Streaming, whether that's watching YouTube or TV or movies, whatever. Just watching content, like visual content. Basically anything that has like a story to it. I love stories. Outside, it's basically cardio. If we're gonna oversimplify it, it's basically just doing cardio. Yeah, that's basically it. That's a pretty good summary. Number 13, what is something I'm really passionate about? So the three things that I made as like my priorities in my application to AFTRS are essentially the answer to this question. So we've got mental health and destigmatizing that, neurological disorders such as epilepsy, and the third one was bringing creative opportunities to regional and rural communities, because the big companies that kind of have those opportunities are always going to want to go to where there's the most people that can take advantage of those, which is the cities, and that sort of puts the creative people in regional locations at a disadvantage, and I don't think that's fair. So those would be the big three for me. What's something I could spend hours doing? Any of my hobbies. Anything that I said that I do for fun. Yeah, I'd love to say that I would, include drawing and anything like artistic in that, but I'm gonna be completely honest, I'm not as naturally talented at those sorts of things as I would like to be, or as I would have hoped to have been, and I just never seem to be able to find the time, even during lockdown, never seem to be able to find the time to actually sit down and practice those skills. So maybe one day I'll be able to actually sit down and practice my artistic ability. But every time I see someone who's done like this beautiful drawing, regardless of the style, or has crafted this amazing sculpture of something, or even people that just build really detailed cosplays, like it all is, I could never, but especially when it comes to cosplay, I'd love to develop those skills. Which answers the next question, which is what is something that I wish I did more often? Drawing, sculpting, anything artistic that you would potentially see in a museum. And yeah, I'm hoping that if I get into AFTRS, I will have the opportunity to sort of try my hand at those sorts of things while studying, because costume design is a part of that, and set dressing is part of film, and there's other creative outlets within film that I would really like to try my hand at. So yeah. Number 16, if I had to watch a documentary, what would I want it to be about? either a behind the scenes of a film, particularly one that I enjoy, so like the Marvel Assembled on Disney Plus. I love that. I love watching those. Really interesting. To me personally, anyway. Or about ancient Greece and its mythology. Sort of my biggest passion project at the moment is essentially I want it to sort of have like a Game of Thrones feel to it, but essentially a chronological compendium essentially of Greek myth. So starting with chaos theory and the Titans and their war with the gods, and then the 5 Ages of man, and Perseus and Hercules and Theseus and the Trojan War and the Argonauts and all that sort of stuff, but in the order that it would have happened, and it would kind of have a bit of a Game of Thrones feel to it as well, especially when you consider that quite a lot of the Greek myths involve them getting on a boat and travelling to Crete or Cyprus or Troy, which is in modern day Turkey, or going to Egypt, or Phoenicia, which is in modern day Tunisia, which is where Carthage was, or Italy, just sort of all around the Mediterranean. The big battle towards the end would be the Trojan War. There are some things that happen afterwards, like the founding of Carthage. Part of that myth is Pygmalion, and yeah, there's a whole heap. Slowly doing my research, finding where each little puzzle piece fits in. Really interesting stuff, and I hope to one day actually have the full list of things in order of how I would write it. But for now, it's just a lot of research, a lot of this person could also be known as this, and this, and which name I'm going to give to this character, so that they're not confused for the other 12 characters in mythology that also have been known by that same name. Like, the amount of Eurydices is incredible, and the most notable one is Orpheus's wife. So all the other Eurydices, I need to find what other names they're known by, so I can keep it as accurate as possible without confusing a general audience viewer. Very interesting stuff. What do I always have on in the background? As far as the music's concerned, it's the usual sort of go-to genre is like pop punk, rock, alternative. I mean, you could push towards metal. You could push more towards like pop music, and going through that vein into some like R&B, some country, really depending on which way through pop you go, rap and hip-hop music. Like I'm even not opposed to listening to the odd film score, which are generally classically composed, composed with like an orchestra, so it's classical music. I'm not opposed to jazz or funk. Jazz music being the kind of music that's in like Cuphead, for instance. yeah, it really just sort of depends on the mood and what I'm doing at the time. I'm not going to have some intense heavy metal screamo stuff while I'm trying to study, for instance. In that case, I might just put on some Ramin Djawadi or some sort of like atmospheric, like sleeping tone sort of thing in the background to sort of keep my brain focused, sort of thing. Yeah. Number 18, how I feel about travel. I fucking love it. I want to visit, there's actually quite a few places I want to visit. If I visit them in order, it's going to be west coast of America first, then let me just pull up here we are, and then it would be, okay, so yeah, so west coast of America, like the States, then Peru, then it would be the Red Centre, Australia, then we would go to British Isles, then it would be to Egypt, and sort of that side of like Egypt, Greece, Turkey, Crete, Cyprus, Rhodes, that sort of area, and then it would be to like Asia. I wanna at some point, even if I don't reach the summit, I do wanna try my hand at climbing Everest. I think that'd be really cool. As well as I know that anyone who climbs Mount Everest is supposed to bring at least 8 kilos of trash back with them. I also know that most people that climb Everest these days just pay the fine instead. So I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna bring back as much as I can possibly carry with me. Like if I have to go up with only the essentials and then come back with my bags just full of trash, so I can be like, here, I pour as much as I could, because the top of Everest is fucking disgusting. And then I'd be going to places like Mount Fuji in Japan, going to New Zealand, I think would be really cool. I'd love to go to Russia, particularly Moscow, but I know you need to be invited into the country. Yeah, a couple of places, but those first 6 that I mentioned are actually chakra gates on the world map. It looks like this. So the red one is America, like California, and then the orange one's Peru, the other one's in Australia, etc. Yeah, I think that'd be really cool. So lots of places I would like to go, basically. And they all just happen to end up being the biggest tourist destinations as well, which is great. Like, it's not like I'm going to, you know, the like middle of Africa sort of thing, or like wanting to go just on a holiday to Iraq. Those are kinds of the places where, like, I feel like the average tourist just tries to avoid. Anyway, number 19, what is a guilty pleasure I enjoy? really gonna make me seem like the biggest nerd ever, but learning. Just about anything. Obviously, when I'm looking up online, it's usually the sorts of things either for the videos that I'm giving you guys, just so I can make sure I've got my facts right, so I'm not spreading misinformation, because I don't ever want to be someone spreading misinformation, or if it's for myself, trying to make the best decision for my own health, or it might just be that I don't know a great deal about a particular subject that a friend and I are making a film about, or where a character is deep into that. So doing some research on that and talking to people in that, you know, that are essentially what that character is going to be, allows me to make that character more believable. So doing research, studying, learning, I love that. Unapologetically. I am a nerd. I already know that. But I love it. It's great. Number 20. How have my interests evolved over the years? I was never one for like homework, because I always was like, what's the point in me coming to school for 6 hours and you know, learning how to, you know, find a particular angle in a triangle, or to dissect a you know, like the literary techniques used in a play, and that sort of thing, you know, or like analysing Shakespeare. Why come to school for 6 hours to do that sort of stuff, when the stuff I want to know about, I'm going to just look up on my own. Like, I'm going to give myself my own education. So my interests really had their biggest changes while I was in school, particularly in high school, where it was like, I studied ancient history in year 11 and 12, and our teacher, despite being asked by quite a number of people in class if we could study ancient Greece, we studied ancient Rome. So I would look up, well, what are the bits for Greece, and I would research those in my own time. So I learned quite a bit about Alexander the Great. I learned quite a bit about the Peloponnesian War, especially so when, well, like I did sort of a refresher when Assassin's Creed Odyssey came out. Yeah, I sort of took myself through the curriculum, but focusing on ancient Greece, while my homework was all about ancient Rome, and I didn't care for it at all. Still don't. Never will. Only thing I can thank the Romans for is recording what the Celts were like. That's it. But yeah, sort of came out of a, school's not going to teach me this, so I'm going to teach it to myself, because it, you know, it interests me, or I'm like interested by this particular idea, like, and then if I get into it and it wasn't that interesting, okay, well, cool, I know a little bit about it now, but it doesn't interest me, move on. So that's sort of how those have changed and evolved. And that's it, that's all 20 questions. If you are new here, please hit the subscribe button. If you want to be kept up to date with when I upload new videos, make sure you ring that notification bell. The list of questions will be in the description down below. Leave your answers in the comments below as well. I would be, you know, I would love to get to know you guys as much as you guys are getting to know me. leave those answers in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. And until next time, guys, keep your head screwed on.